Mike at. It took me a little while to figure out that this is the program I wanted to be a part of. You really couldn't have told me that when I was 22. My parents made me go to treatment after a second DUI. And all the stories I would hear about things I had never done yet, and they had all but convinced me, along with plenty of willingness to myself, I was in the wrong place. This was by accident. But the more I stuck around, I started hearing that I could get off the elevator anytime I wanted. And just like our book talks about on 33, to be gravely affected, one does not have to drink the quantities or go down as far as some of us have. So I don't have to accumulate the coolest story to brag to y'all to be able to justify that I'm here for the right reason. If I'm sitting here, it says enough. Now, what am I doing to stay here? Somebody was talking a little while ago, and it really made a lot of sense about some of the people that they saw from their past. And somebody was talking about pageants or something, and we're talking about the prettiest people, right? But she sees these people now, and she sees herself from the past, and how she was dead inside, and she sees that they're dead inside. Their insides do not match their outsides. At least that's what I heard. And when I think about that in relation to the program, I think how true that is for what I'm trying to do. I think if you had asked anybody on the street, and you took a picture of this room of everybody in here, they'd say none of those people look like addicts. They got nice shirts. There's trucks out there with auto start and all kinds of shit. Everybody's got a cell phone. Most of them own it. Because we have this picture of what an addict's supposed to look like on the outside. But what if they could take a picture of the inside? I would have to say that I probably would look like one, especially when I got here. I'm not going to claim that now. I've worked the steps. I've been here a long fucking time. If I'm going to sit here and tell y'all I still look like that same old ratty addict when I got here, we need to take a flamethrower to this place because it don't work. No, that's not my message. The effort here that we put into is to try to make the insides match the outsides. Yeah, we're all pretty. Some prettier than others. But when I got here, I have to work the steps to really find this out. I wasn't that pretty inside. And I need to match the insides with the outside. That's the only way to escape this. He's already said it. You can't buy it. He said it. I didn't. I'm just agreeing with him. I saw this show about what do you do when you're in a car and it's filling up with water. Well, they tell you to crack the window a little bit and let some water in. And when the pressure equals the outside, only then can you escape. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I cannot escape until my insides match my outsides. And I can't judge my insides by your outsides, which is I find through working the steps, I did a lot of that too. And I did a lot of telling everybody I was fine when I really wasn't. And I had no one to tell the truth, right? No accountability partners like Charles was talking about. Other places you go to, they call it steel on steel. Somebody that's willing to tell you the truth, what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. Because I'm here to tell you, bullshit cosigners are a dime a dozen. You'll find one in the next bed over in the halfway house. But if you've got somebody that's got some time that has worked these steps, they may, from time to time, if they really care about you, challenge your belief system and tell you something that you might not want to hear. But later on, if you do the footwork and continue to try to match the pressure and match the insides and outsides, you'll go back and realize, I sure am glad that somebody called me on my fucking bullshit for once in my life. Because what I find out is I was conning people and draining people of everything around me as long as they would allow me to do it. We are pros at this. That's why we're so good in these telephone sales. We're bullshit artists by nature. But it wasn't till people in my life said, no, son, enough's enough. You are out, and I'm not hardly bullshitting. Did it wake me up enough to give me the chance to see the truth? I could have just as well not taken it. But I took it. And I realized I could get off this elevator. And I realized some bitter truths about myself, that I wasn't as pretty as I thought I was. And I came in here when I was 22, and let me just say it to you. I was fucking pretty. I could have anybody I wanted, anytime. And there's people in here that remember. One in particular. Now, I'm still pretty, but not that fucking pretty. But what I will say this, is that the steps I've worked has made me feel like I can sleep well at night. I'm not carrying around a bag of guilt, that bag of rocks I was carrying around. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And sometimes you have to work the steps to realize how big that bag of rocks is. I come in 10-tooth, fall tall, and bulletproof. Nothing's fucking wrong. I ain't afraid of anything. Work a few steps and it's holy shit. I've been lying to everybody and myself. So it will get different before it gets better working the steps. Some of these truths that I see working the steps are too much for some folks. I'd rather stick my head back in the sand and give me a fucking bottle. But I promise you this, if you persevere, if you take your lumps and take your bitter pills and realize, you know, it's time I stepped up, and enough's enough with the tomfoolery and the ballyhoo, and look back at that old person that I used to be, and I was like, who was that guy? What a fucking idiot. What was he thinking? Back when he thought he was cool and knew everything, even to tell his own father, get out of my business, Dad. You don't know what you're talking about. How embarrassed am I how I treated the very people that cared so much. I'm talking about me. This lifetime we spend here, those of us who decide to stay, like me, like Kim, realize that the amends I make is not with my mouth, it's with my fucking life and how I live it. Because my actions speak much louder than my words. I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, and I'll pass.
Our time is up. Does anyone have